Now, after the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 passed the requisite 24-county mark as required by law, all eyes now move to the Parliament, with speakers of the county assemblies expected to deliver a copy of the draft bill jointly to the speakers of the two houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. Let's now bring in constitutional lawyer Kamotho Waiganjo to put us through some of the things, what to expect next, some of the permutations and expectations. Thank you for joining us, Bwana Akili. Good evening. Now, the so-called Super Tuesday, as predicted by Raila Odinga's, gone well for the BBI proponents. Did you expect the bill to be passed this overwhelmingly, and why?
I would have been surprised if it had not been passed. Maybe one would have expected a little opposition here and there, but most county assemblies were going to pass it. And that's primarily because if you read the BBI, while it is not a perfect document, it has enough sweeteners to attract critical constituencies. And one of those most critical constituencies in a popular initiative is the members of the county assembly. There were enough sweeteners in that bill that made them support it, quite apart from the car grants. You must remember that when you provide for more funding to the county assemblies, it is that money is available included to the county assemblies. When you then provide that 5% of that money goes to a ward development fund, which is constitutionalized. And remember, most assemblies have been fighting on these questions. Of course, the members of county assembly will support it. If you provide for more constituencies, while the elite here in Nairobi talk about more MPs, Kenyans want more constituencies for some strange reason, because they also know that constituencies are focused for development funds. So in a sense, those sweeteners are what was more attractive, and the car grants and those other things were just extras. But that made it more attractive, to most of these county assemblies.
The anti-BBI brigade that is saying that MCAs were bribed to pass the bill.
Well, sometimes we like to insult the intelligence of Kenyans. Now, obviously, members of county assemblies make decisions for a variety of reasons. And of course, one of them is I'm sure that the incentive of the car grant, was a positive. But I think it would be fairly insulting of them to assume that because of a grant, which they had already been given as a loan, or that is being converted is from a loan to a grant, that every single one of those county assembly members voted on that basis. I think that's a little insulting. I think it's important to understand that other than some of the political opposition to the BBI, most Kenyans understood that the negatives, one could say, talk about the negatives of the BBI, were largely manageable, while a lot of the positives were good for most people. Most people understand, for example, that one of the challenges that Kenya has had is that because we have retained a lot of money at the top, even a lot of the gross corruption that happens actually happens at the center. And they would rather that more money was devolved down, because they have seen in the last 10 years the impact that money has had, even where it has been lost, even where it has been misused. So many Kenyans actually appreciate that about the BBI. And they say, if that is the price we'll pay for one or two things, for example, a dysfunctional executive at the national level, more members of parliament, we're probably willing to take that. And I think we need to look at the positive side of that and not assume that Kenyans are generally just there being bribed to do things, being intimidated. Kenyans also actually sometimes do have the capacity to think, and we need to give credit to those that passed. And don't forget that the response to the BBI is across the country. Surely, if it was just about bribery and intimidation, you would find pockets of people, surely, with a conscience to say no. And so let's not ignore the substance of the reasons why those persons passed the bill. And some of us have said from the beginning, the BBI proposals are not perfect. In any case, they're made by human beings. You don't expect perfection. Some things were not necessary. But on the whole, the critical things that are beneficial to Kenyans are attractive.
Hold that thought, Bwana Akili. I want us to talk about something that you've written in the past about. But let's take a look at our top